Every single day, we're all following these unwritten rules. But have you ever stopped to ask, where do they even come from? So today, we're going to dive into how that happens, how the new words we invent and the stories we tell literally become the blueprint for our entire lives.
I want you to imagine for a second that you're a kid again. You're learning about the world through the words your parents give you. But then, what happens when you find something completely new? Something they don't have a name for? That feeling, that dissonance, that moment of pure discovery, well, that's exactly where culture kicks off.
Okay, so to really get this, there's one key word we gotta know: schema. Just think of it like a mental map, right? It's the framework your brain uses to make sense of everything. It's built from everything you're told, everything you see, everything you experience. It's your personal blueprint for how the world works. All right, to really see how this works, let's take a trip. We're going way, way back in time, about 125,000 years ago, to tell a simple little story, a parable, about how our very first cultural rules might have been born. So, meet Jojo. He's just a kid, part of a nomadic tribe, and he's out wandering around. And one day, he stumbles across this creature he has never, ever seen before. And the thing is, nobody, not even the elders, has a name for this thing. It's slow, it has this hard shell and this soft little face and arms sticking out. So you can imagine Jojo's little brain just whirring, trying to connect the dots with what he already knows. It's kind of like a lizard, but it's carrying its own little cave on its back. And in that one creative spark, an idea is born. And boom, right there, that's the magic moment. He gives it a name. He invents a word: cave lizard. Just by giving it a name, he's grabbed this totally unknown thing from the world and made it, well, knowable. First for him, and then, maybe, for everyone else. Okay, so here's where it gets really important. Jojo's personal discovery is about to become a shared rule. See, his tribe has a schema. If you find something new, you bring it to the elders. So he does. He shows them his cave lizard, and they start calling it that too. Jojo's grandma tosses it in the stew, and it turns out it's delicious. And just like that, a brand new schema is born for the whole tribe. Cave lizards? Yeah, those are good to eat. But the story doesn't stop there. This is where it gets interesting. Jojo's friend, Billy, sees all the praise Jojo got and wants to be a hero too. So he goes out and finds another new creature. And to him, it looks like a cave lizard. Just without the cave. It's long, it's skinny, and it's making this weird rattling noise with its tail. And this is where we see the two sides of the coin. Billy, thinking he's going to get the same result, scoops it up. But it bites him, and he dies. So Jojo kills it, brings it back, and gives it a new, much scarier name: the rattling death worm. A new schema is born. You see that thing? You avoid it. But get this, here's the crazy part. Grandma, being grandma, throws it in the stew anyway, and it's also delicious. Most of the tribe eats it. But Billy's family, heartbroken, refuses. They call it the poor Billy snake. And just like that, one single event created two totally different schemas, one for a dangerous new food source and another for a tragic taboo. So these little stories, right, these tales of life and death, they're not just stories. They're the literal building blocks. They are the first blueprints that, when you collect them and pass them down and argue about them, create something way bigger: culture itself. And that's really the big takeaway here. Culture isn't some big mysterious thing floating in the air. It's just all of these little agreements, all these cave lizard stories and death worm warnings, all stacked on top of each other. It's the collection of shared habits that a group of people lives by. Let's bring this into our world for a second. Ever wondered why in some cultures there's a strict rule that the elders have to eat before anyone else? That's not just a random tradition, right? It's a schema. It's a leftover rule from a time when that practice was probably crucial for survival. Or how about this one? Ladies go first. We think of it as just being polite, but where did it actually come from? Well, its origins are probably much, much darker than you think. Here's a hint. It's tied to the same reason you might hear stories about mob bosses having their wives start their car for them. Yeah, think poison. It was a brutal, but effective, survival schema. But here's the thing. These cultural blueprints, they don't just pop up out of nowhere. The world we live in, our actual environment, is like this giant engine, constantly shaping the rules we end up living by. And for almost all of human history, that engine was cranked up to 11. I mean, look at this. For 200,000 years, we were nomads, constantly on the move, constantly adapting. This whole idea of settling down in one place, that's super, super new for us as a species. And this is such a perfect example of that engine at work. Just think about leaving your house. If you're in Alaska, your schema is automatic. Hat, gloves, heavy coat, check the weather. You just do it. Because if you don't, you could literally freeze to death. Now take that same schema to Central Africa. You could die of heat stroke. Climate forges our most fundamental, unquestioned habits. And it's not just climate. The resources around you do the exact same thing, but for a whole society. In a place where resources are scarce and there's danger everywhere, there's a force that pulls people together, a centripetal force. You have to rely on each other, which creates collectivist cultures. But in a place with plenty of food and safety, there's a centrifugal force that can push people apart. You don't need the group as much, which lets more individualistic cultures grow. The very fabric of a society can be traced back to its environment. So you'd think, okay, the environment changes, so the culture changes. Simple, right? Well, not quite. There's this other massive force we have to talk about, these anchors that keep old ideas stuck firmly in place. And this is what's so fascinating. Even when a culture moves into a time of abundance, when the old dangers are gone, they might still cling to those old harsh survival habits. And why would they do that? Well, because those old rules become sacred. They're seen as the formula for success, the very thing that got them through the tough times. And these old schemas get locked in tight by some really powerful anchors in society. Think about it. Religion, traditions, the stories we tell our kids, the entire education system, even our holidays. All of these things are designed to pass down the core schemas, to make sure the old rules, for better or worse, live on. So all of this leaves us with one last question to think about for you. Take a hard look at your own life. The food you eat, how you talk to people, the things you think are important. What are the ancient rules you still follow, maybe without even realizing it? What parts of your life are being guided by the ghosts of your ancestors?